sounds good to you. I'm just going to make a couple of announcements and housekeeping things before we go ahead and get started with the presentation. Just to let everybody know, there was a little bit of a change up in the schedule, and so what was on the flyer was motivational interviewing, and this is actually we're very fortunate to have Amy Cassanova with us today to speak about self-care. And so that is what we are doing right now. It's going to be wonderful. But I just wanted to let you know that that's what we're doing right now. So feel free to hang out and participate. If you're indeed going to stay, I just wanted to say, first of all, I'm Casey. I am the secretary of the Social Work Students Association here in Tulsa at the Tulsa campus. I was just going to say that if anybody is interested in joining the SWSA, if you're a student here or alumni, are more than welcome to come and join us next year. So if you would contact the advisor of your SWSA chapter, whether you're on the Tulsa campus or the Norman campus, Austin McCoy and Christy Tarpley are the co-advisors for the Tulsa campus, and then Jennifer Dell and Charlotte Kendrick are the co-advisors for the Norman campus.
Log out.
Sorry, Megan. Oh, I see. So just in case you didn't notice, we are recording. So all of the sessions that we're doing this week will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. So you can go back and look at it if you wish. And CEUs are being offered for this session. I'm sorry, I completely forgot whether we're doing CEUs for this one. Does anybody know the answer to that? Yes, okay. CEUs for this session, perfect. So at the end of the session, I will drop in a link and you can fill that out. And I believe this is the last session of the day. So if you've been to previous ones today, you can go ahead and fill that out for, the whole day. So you can get all of those, get your CEUs for all of those. And then attendance at this session is free for students. And if you're a professional and you'd like to donate, we're suggesting $10 a day for professionals. And so I will go ahead and drop the link in there if you'd like to make a donation. And then, last thing, just make sure that your full name is listed on your Zoom profile, because that's how we will take attendance to get you those CEUs. So that's that. And now we're going to introduce Amy. So Amy has been working at OU-Tulsa for over 7 years. She works with students and residents across a variety of issues, from study skills and time management to mental health problems. She has an MS in counseling and student personnel administration from OSU, and she got her PhD in educational psychology from Texas A&M. She loves working with students and residents and seeing them grow and develop and then move on to achieve their goals. And we're so happy to have you here. So take it away. Oh, I was going to say, I was just going to ask, do you want, if people have questions, do you want to save those for the end, or how do you want to format that?
I mean, whatever you want. People can ask questions throughout if what do best people do?
What do normal people do? They do whatever they want.
I don't know. What is normal?
Okay. Take it away.
If you want to drop questions in the chat, that's totally fine. I can handle that. So, or if you want to hold them to the end, that's okay too. So whatever y'all want to do. Okay. Ready for me? Okay, awesome. All right. Well, let's see. We've got 2 people with their cameras on, so that's good. I normally would be doing this in person, of course, and would have my handy dandy whiteboard behind me that I could like ask questions and write things on because I am like old school like that. So yeah, so I'm the counselor here at OU-Tulsa. Like Casey said, I've been here a while. I work with all of the students and the residents. And if any of y'all want to ever come and chat, whatever, just you can either call or email to make an appointment. I can usually get people in within like a few days, stuff like that. So I've worked with a lot of the social work students and everybody. So anyway, so I'm here if y'all need me for anything. Okay. Okay. So they asked me to talk about self-care, which in any kind of helping profession is really, really super important to take care of yourself. Like there's a reason why when you're on an airplane, they say to put your mask on first, because what happens if you don't put your mask on first? Anybody? Well, you die, right? Yes, you are gonna not be able to help those other people that may need help. But for whatever reason, we tend to not do a very good job of taking care of ourselves. There's a reason why most people who go into these kind of professions do, because we want to help people, right? We want to take care of them and we want to help them. We want to help them grow and develop and all of those kinds of things. But we forget that we have to take care of ourselves as well. We are just as important. It's not selfish, none of that kind of stuff. Okay. And I have to apologize right now. I've been sick for a week, and so this is not going to be my best presentation, but I'll do my best. Sorry if I'm coughing. Okay, so what are some, and you can put these in the chat, y'all. I mean, if you want to unmute yourselves, you can too, but if you want to put them in the chat, I would really appreciate hearing from you guys. So what is self-care to you? What does that entail? Anybody? Okay, taking time for yourself. Sleep, turning off your phone, nurturing, keeping your bucket full, personal needs, walks, hot baths, fishing. Awesome. Having work-life balance and boundaries. Oh, good job, Nick. That's great. Self-care is not something done after work. It is done continuously throughout the day in how we approach our lives. Yes. Leaving work at work. Sorry if I'm missing any of these. I'm trying to read as fast as I can. Intentional activities, time spent to rest, check in, all those kinds of things. Focus on helping me stay sane. Yes. Asking for help and recognizing when you need it. Good. Okay. All of those are great responses. Okay. So now what are the ways that you go about doing those things? How do you make those happen in your daily life? Anybody? Time, therapy, time, boundaries. Personal needs, exercise, yoga, prayer. Stay up after everyone goes to bed for 30 minutes. Okay. Adding it to the schedule. Yes. Getting out of my office chair to walk around every hour or so. Taking time to do things that I want simply because I want to. Nourishing and caring for my body. Saying no when we have to say no. Lists. Those are great. Reminders of my phone, asking if I have done certain things. That's great. Kind of keeps it in the front of your brain. Lists are good. The key with lists is to not make it one more thing that you have to cross off of the list, though. Okay, so not something that you have to do, it's something that you really want to do. Okay. Okay. First of all, like I'm sure all of y'all have heard about like the wellness wheel and all that kind of stuff, and how, you know, like the idea is, so it's like this circle thing, and it has all of the like all of your areas of your values of things that are important to you. So like your like mental health, your physical health, your emotional health, your work, school health, those kinds of things, intellectual things, all of whatever you have. There's like 8 things on there, but some people don't use all of them. And the goal supposedly is to like try to make that as round as possible so that you have balance in all those kinds of things. But what I'm going to tell you is it's pretty much impossible to work on all of those things at one time. So life work balance, it's a myth that we have. All right. So because our brains are wired, we can only think of one thing at one time. So the whole thing of multitasking, throw it away. Okay. Does not work. Your brain can only think of one thing at a time. It's biologically impossible to think of 2 things at a time. So try it. Try to think of 2 things at a time right now. You can't do it because your brain keeps going back and forth. Okay. That's what it does. It's supposed to do that. All right. So that whole idea of multitasking, of doing everything, working on all of those things all at one time, it just does not work. Okay. So we got to like kind of reframe our thoughts on that whole perspective that we are going to be in full balance at all times. Okay. So what I want you guys to do is, hang on, I got to go find this thing that I had. Okay. No. All right. I'm going to try to. Okay. Do all of y'all have like a pencil and a piece of paper? If you don't, get one. Okay. So what I'm going to do is what you're going to do is you're going to write these things down. Okay. And then we're going to talk about some of them in a minute. Okay. So these are areas of self-care. Okay. So the first one is physical. Okay. So physical things have to do with whether you eat regularly, if you get enough good quality sleep, if you get any kind of like physical activity on a regular basis, if you go to the doctor or the dentist regularly, if you're taking care of any of those kind of physical needs that you have. Okay. So I want you to write down what are the things what are your current practices that you're doing? Like, are your meals healthy? Do you need to, could you tweak that a little bit? That kind of stuff. Okay. So write down your current practices. And then I want you to write down what practices you might want to try that would make those maybe a little bit more in the like front of your brain that you could kind of focus on. Now, remember, you're not going to be able to focus on all of these at one time. Okay. So these are things that you're going to have there as reminders that you can do. Okay. Throughout the day. Okay. All right. Next one is emotional. Okay. So current practices, do you engage in positive activities, acknowledge your own accomplishments, express emotions in a healthy way? Do you get angry? Do you get irritable? All of those kinds of things. Or do you have the freedom to be able to express your emotions? Is that okay? Is it safe? All of those kinds of things. Okay, so you're going to do the same thing, what you do now, and then things you want to try. Okay, next one is spiritual. So things that current practices, reading inspirational literature, self-reflection, spending time in nature, meditation, exploring spiritual connections, any of those things. It could be other things too. Talking to people, whatever. Okay, and then write down the things that you would like to try. Okay, everybody done with that one? Okay. All right, next one is professional. So these are your current practices and then the things you want to try. And this, like, even if you're in school, that's still your profession. Okay, so school is your work for right now. So pursuing meaningful work, maintaining a work-life balance. Are you taking work home with you, or are you worrying about it? Positive relationships with coworkers, time management skills. With the COVID thing, what they've figured out is a lot of people ended up having a hard time kind of like cutting off when they were working and when they weren't, because if their computer's right there, oh, well, it's 10 o'clock at night, I could go check my email when before, if you weren't in your office, you didn't have access to that. Okay. So, do you cut it off at a certain time? Are you done for the day? That kind of thing. Okay. Are you able to, do you feel like you're growing in your area of expertise? Are you looking for areas that you could grow and opportunities for you to be able to do that? Okay. All right. Next one is social. Okay. So same thing, same two columns. Okay. So this has to do with healthy relationships. Are you making time for family and friends? Actually like doing things with them, talking to them, checking in on them, those kinds of things. Scheduling dates with your partner. Asking for support from family and friends, doing things that you enjoy with activities with other people. One thing that they also found with the COVID thing is that people like forgot how to like do small talk. Like, it's like we just all forgot how to like have just like a conversation with other people because we weren't with other people for a very long time. We were with our little, our little pod group of people. And, so it's important to learn to talk again. So in whatever way that works for you, in a healthy way, of course. And, sometimes it's just reaching out to other people and checking in on them, sending a text or actually picking up the phone and making a phone call as opposed to, texting them, or like going to their office or wherever. Okay. Getting together with people to study and hang out, that kind of stuff. Okay. Next one is financial. Understanding how finances impact your quality of life. Creating a budget or financial plan, paying off debt. It's kind of like the Maslow's hierarchy stuff. You got to have all those basic needs met, and so finances is a part of that. So that are you able to make sure that your needs are being met, those kinds of things. Okay, and the last one is psychological. So this is the self-care kind of stuff, taking time for yourself, disconnecting from electronic devices, learning new skills, therapy, life coaching, any of those kinds of things. What do you do right now? And then what things do you think are you wanting to try to incorporate into your life? Okay, so the goal of this was to kind of get you guys to think about all of those different areas of your life and which ones you have been paying a lot of attention to, and then which ones maybe you need to pay a little bit more attention to. Okay. Some of the big things that are really important for self-care are just basic things. Okay. So like making sure you're eating regularly and eating healthy. So a lot of people, like when I get really stressed and stuff, I forget to eat. It's just like, if I'm real busy, I'll forget. And you don't eat, you don't have any energy, and then you're tired. So that's not a good thing. Sleep is the absolute most underrated self-care thing that you can possibly do. If you are not getting enough sleep, you cannot do anything. All right. Your brain is foggy. You can't think straight. Your body won't be able to do what it is supposed to do, all of those kinds of things. All right. So coming up with some kind of a really good like sleep pattern. Okay. Try to go to bed every night about the same time. Try to stay on the same kind of schedule. That was the other thing that they found out during the pandemic was people, like if they went off of their normal schedule of sleep, it totally messed them up. So try to stay on your same routine if you possibly can, as much as possible, even on the weekends. Getting caught up on sleep is a myth. Okay. There's no catching up. It's not like a bank account where you can like tuck away chunks. It would be great if that would happen, but it's not. So if you can get as regular as you can, if you are laying there and you can't fall asleep, whether it's because you're worrying about something or anything, keep a pad of paper by your bed and write those things down. Whatever those thoughts are that are chasing themselves around in your head, write them down. If you're there for more than 45 minutes, get up. Okay. Get up and go do something. Don't get on your phone. Don't get on.
He's tried to kill him this whole time.
Any of that kind of stuff. Even if you have the filter on your phone, the blue light still affects those gamma waves and it activates your brain. Okay. So if you need to go do something, go get a book you can read, go to the bathroom, go get a drink of water, walk around a little bit, those kinds of things, and then go back and try again. Okay. There's lots of like apps out there that can help with like meditation or those kinds of things before you go to bed. So those kinds of things can help too. Trying to, if you take a shower just before bed or a bath, sometimes that can help too, because your body temperature has to drop to a certain level for you to be able to fall asleep. Okay. So if you're hot, that's not going to work very well. 68 degrees is about what you need it to be. Okay. Okay. Exercise is the number one way to deal with stress and anxiety. Okay. Some kind of exercise. It doesn't have to be you go to the gym for an hour. I mean, who has time for that? Some people do. Great. If you do, yay, more power to you. A lot of people just don't. And so if you can get in 3 10-minute walks a day, that's 30 minutes. It adds up. It's cumulative. Okay. If you can take the stairs, if you can park further away from wherever it is that you have to go, there's little tricks that you can put in there all the time to get more steps in. So, if you're sitting at your desk, somebody said getting up, one of their self-care things was getting up from their desk every uh, hour or whatever. Yeah, get up every hour, do some stretches, move your body a little bit, and go for a little walk around campus. I think it's on the HR webpage. There's actually a map of like little routes that you can take around campus, and it gives like the distances and that kind of stuff. So it's just, get moving, like Corinne said, motion. Yes, it's just moving. It's just moving your body so that you can keep moving. All right. And appreciating that your body can move. And because some people's can't. So doing whatever it is that you can possibly do. All right. Okay. Now, the next thing that I want you guys to do is get out your piece of paper again. All right. Now we are going to come up with emergency self-care strategies. Okay. So this is what I want you to do. Well, here, let me see if I can share my screen. You would think that I would be an expert on like all this Zoom junk, but oh, who's the host? Do you know anybody?
Yes, I am. Yes, I
Casey,
am.
you are?
I can give you that. Yes. I'll
Okay.
do that.
Can you give me access to being able to share my screen?
Can you try now?
Yeah, hang on. Where'd it go? Hold on. I gotta go find it again. Sorry. Okay. I can't. No, never mind. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Stop that. Stop that. Okay, I'll just tell you guys what to do. Okay, so I want you to make 3 columns on your piece of paper. All right, so you're going to have emergency self-care strategies in one column, helpful in the next column, and unhelpful in the last column. Okay. All right. So relaxation and staying calm. So which activities help you to relax? Deep breathing, taking a walk, whatever those things are. And then which activities make you more agitated or frustrated? Examples would be yelling or swearing or drinking or any of those kinds of things. So just write a few things down that are helpful for you. And the things that are unhelpful, because those will help remind you that those aren't going to work as well. Okay. And we all do those. Okay. I mean, nobody is immune to any of these kinds of things. All right. Okay. The next one is called self-talk. Helpful self-talk can include things like I'm safe, I can do this, I'm confident, I am a good person, whatever, any of those kind of like positive mantras that you have for yourself. All right. And we all every single person in the world is their own worst critic. All right. We are horrible to ourselves. We would never talk to anybody in our lives like we talk to ourselves. We wouldn't have anybody to talk to if we did. But for whatever reason, it's perfectly fine for us to just berate and beat ourselves up about things. Okay. So write down those negative things too. Okay. As a reminder that those aren't going to be very helpful for you. Okay. So, I can't do this, or it's not going to be good enough, or whatever, all of those kinds of things. I'm afraid. It's, what if I fail? All of those kinds of things. Yes, should statements, not good. It's one of the biggest cognitive distortions out there. All right. Those rules of life that we get along the way somehow that aren't really true. Okay. Okay. The next one is, hold on. Let me get back to my little thingy here. Okay. The next one is social support. Okay. So which family members and friends can you reach out to for help or support? Who's going to be the helpful people in your life that are going to give you what you're needing? Okay. And that you trust and feel safe with to ask for help. Which that also is a really big part of self-care, is knowing when to ask for help. We are not islands unto ourselves. We are social creatures, and we all need other people. It has nothing to do with strength or any of that kind of stuff to be able to do things on your own. Which people should you avoid during times of stress, like in figuring out who are those energy zappers. We've all got those people that just suck our life force out of us. They're not going to be the emergency people that we go to. Okay. Try to think of at least one person. Okay. That's going to be helpful. And if you can't think of one person, maybe think of one person that you may want to try to develop a closer relationship with. Okay. All right. Next one is mood. Okay. So which activities support a positive mood? What kind of things help you feel good? Listening to music, enjoying the sunshine, walking barefoot in the grass. I don't know. Favorite smells, any of those kinds of things. Doing something that you enjoy, going and digging in the dirt, gardening, whatever, all those kinds of things. Okay. And then what should you avoid when times get hard? Like, staying in bed all day or avoiding social activities, which are all pretty common. When we don't feel good, we don't want to do anything, but it's not necessarily going to make us feel any better. Oh, the one before move. Hold on, Taylor. Let me see. Let me get back there. Social support. Was that it? Okay. Yep. Okay. All right. So now what you've kind of done is you have figured out what your areas, you've assessed your areas that you are doing pretty okay on, and then some growth areas that you may have. Now, try to remember, you cannot focus on all of these at one time. So what you're going to do is you're going to pick maybe one at a time. Okay. Usually takes about 30 days to create a habit. So if you're wanting to start, some kind of a walking plan or whatever, okay, don't try to jump in and do 5 days a week at the gym or anything like that. They've actually done research on like at the beginning of the year, gym memberships just go, they blow up. Everybody joins the gym because it's like, okay, my resolution is I'm going to start exercising, I'm going to get healthy, I'm going to lose weight, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. It's about January 17th when those things start dropping off. Okay. So people make those resolution. I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week. Okay. They last 3 weeks. That's it of that. And then it's like, I'm not doing this anymore. Okay. So if you ease into it, okay, so my goal is I'm going to walk once a week. Okay. All right. And maybe it's like, you're just going to walk around the block, or you're going to walk around the building or whatever. Okay. You can do that. Take a little walk at lunch, any of those kinds of things. This was the other thing during the pandemic. Go outside. Everybody was about terrified to go outside. And I'm like, go outside. You can stand in your backyard by yourself and you won't breathe on anybody. Okay. Or on your balcony, or I'm sure there's some place that you can go and stand and be outside. We're all vitamin D deficient. Okay. So we all need to get outside a little bit more. And they've done lots of research on, standing by trees helps. It's like energy and that kind of stuff. And then if you actually take your shoes off and stand in the grass and the dirt, there's, I can't remember what they're called, micro thingies in the dirt that actually get into your skin and help. They affect your serotonin and dopamine levels. Okay. So go dig in the dirt a little bit, go stand on the ground some. All right. So any of those kinds of things, and those are free. You don't even have to pay for those. Okay. So, you don't have to join the gym. You don't have to go take an hour and a half to go change clothes, go work out, and then go take a shower and change clothes again. So you can do all of those things pretty simply. All right. And those are all parts of self-care. Okay. All right. I've got a little video that I'm going to try to play for you. My computer is acting up and I'm not really sure what the major malfunction is. I knew I should have pulled this up before this started. Okay, well, we're going to do, hold on, let me see if I can share this. Oh, okay, hold on. Yeah. Thanks, Jennifer. Give me just a second. I gotta go find it again. That's what I do. I keep all these things open and then I can never remember where I left them in my open links. Copy. Sorry, y'all. Jennifer, it's that TED Talk. It's by Andy Puddicombe. I don't know if y'all have seen this before, but it's really good. Okay. So one other thing that y'all can do that can be really helpful is, I know a lot of people, you know, the whole mindfulness movement and everything like that is actually really true. Okay. So they've done a lot of research on this. And if you practice mindfulness, like some neuroscientists say like 6 to 7 minutes a day, others say 12 minutes a day. Now that's the minimum. All right. But it can actually like rewire the frontal cortex of your brain to have it be less anxious, okay, and not deal with stress maybe as negatively, okay. And that's another thing too, is stress is not always a bad thing. I know everybody's like, oh, I need to get rid of my stress. I don't want to be stressed. I don't want to be anxious, all of those kinds of things. That is impossible. We are always going to have some kind of stress. We are always going to have some kind of anxiety. That's just how we are wired. Okay. It's kind of one way that you can deal with that, though, is to change maybe how you perceive that stress. If it's constantly a negative thing, then everything is going to be negative. If you look at it like, okay, well, this is going to help motivate me a little bit, then it's not as negative. All right. Because we have to have a little bit of stress. We have to have a little bit of anxiety. Otherwise, we'd never get out of bed. We wouldn't have any reason to. Okay. So if you can kind of change your way of thinking about it a little bit, that can help as well. Mindfulness is not like you have to go sit on a rock on top of a mountain for an hour and meditate. Okay. Like how many of us can do that? Drop us on top of, you know, I'm sure they helicopter those people in. I don't know how they get there when they're on those, you know, in those pictures and all that kind of stuff. But it can be just as simple. All it is really paying attention and focusing on what is going on in your present moment. Okay. So it could be while you're doing the dishes. It could be when you're in the shower. It could be anything. Okay. And just focusing on what it is that you're doing, focusing on what your body is doing. If you get out of your head and into your body, you can't think of all of those things that are going to be bothering you. Okay. All those little thoughts that chase themselves around in your brain. You're too focused on your body. That's why yoga is really great. Because it gets you out of your head. You're too busy focusing on what your body's doing and your breathing and those kinds of things to be able to think about anything else. And remember, you can't think of two things at one time. So if you're focused on your breath, you're not thinking about any of that other stuff. Okay, so, and those are ways that you can activate your vagal nerve, which activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which helps you calm down, helps lower your anxiety, helps lower your stress. Okay. All of those things are taking care of yourself, and you have to do those kinds of things. If you're constantly like up like this, what ends up happening is your body gets used to that. And then when you actually try to relax and come back down, your cortisol levels are used to being up there. And it's harder for you to actually do those things that say, okay, and give yourself permission to actually relax. That's another big thing. Okay. Okay. So what I am going to do is let's go ahead and play that little video thing.
If it's okay, I'm just going to go ahead and drop in the 2 links for donation and CEUs in case people dropped out. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that right now.
Okay.
An incredibly busy world. The pace of life is often frantic. Our minds are always busy and we're always doing something. So with that in mind, I'd like you just to take a moment to think, when did you last take any time to do nothing? Just 10 minutes, undisturbed. And when I say nothing, I do mean nothing. So that's no emailing, texting, no internet, no TV, no chatting, no eating, no reading. Not even sitting there reminiscing about the past or planning for the future. Simply doing nothing. I see a lot of very blank faces. My thinking is it's probably have to go a long way back. And this is an extraordinary thing, right? We're talking about our mind. The mind, our most valuable and precious resource through which we experience every single moment of our life. The mind that we rely upon to be happy, content, emotionally stable as individuals, and at the same time to be kind and thoughtful and considerate in our relationships with others. This is the same mind that we depend upon to be focused, creative, spontaneous, and to perform at our very best in everything that we do. And yet we don't take any time out to look after it. In fact, we spend more time looking after our cars, our clothes, and our hair than we, okay, maybe not our hair, but you see where I'm going. The result, of course, is that we get stressed. You know, the mind whizzes away like a washing machine going round and round, lots of difficult, confusing emotions. And we don't really kind of know how to deal with that. And the sad fact is that we are so distracted that we're no longer present in the world in which we live. We miss out on the things that are most important to us. And the crazy thing is that everybody just assumes, well, that's the way life is, so we just kind of got to get on with it. That's really not how it has to be. So I was about 11 when I went along to my first meditation class. And trust me, it had all the stereotypes that you can imagine, sitting cross-legged on the floor, the incense, the herbal tea, the vegetarians, the whole deal. But my mum was going and I was intrigued, so I went along with her. I'd also seen a few kung fu movies, and secretly I kind of thought I might be able to learn how to fly, but I was very young at the time, you know. Now, as I was there, you know, I guess like a lot of people, I assumed that it was just an aspirin for the mind. You get stressed, you do some meditation. I hadn't really thought that it could be sort of preventative in nature until I was about sort of 20, when a number of things happened in my life in quite quick succession. Really serious things which just flipped my life upside down, and all of a sudden I was inundated with thoughts, inundated with difficult emotions that I didn't know how to cope with. Every time I sort of pushed one down, another one would just sort of pop back up again. It was a really very stressful time. I guess we all deal with stress in different ways. Some people will bury themselves in work, grateful for the distraction. Others will turn to their friends, their family, looking for support. Some people hit the bottle, start taking medication. My own way of dealing with it was to become a monk. So I quit my degree. I headed off to the Himalayas. I became a monk and I started studying meditation. People often ask me, you know, what I learned from that time. Well, obviously it changed things, you know. Let's face it, becoming a celibate monk is going to change a number of things. But it was more than that. You know, it taught me, it gave me a greater appreciation and understanding for the present moment. By that, I mean not being lost in thought, not being distracted, not being overwhelmed by difficult emotions, but instead learning how to be in the here and now, how to be mindful, how to be present. I think the present moment is so underrated. It sounds so ordinary, and yet we spend so little time in the present moment that it's anything but ordinary. There was a research paper that came out of Harvard just recently that said on average, our minds are lost in thought almost 47% of the time. 47%. At the same time, this sort of constant mind wandering is also a direct cause of unhappiness. Now, we're not here for that long anyway, but to spend almost half of our life lost in thought and potentially quite unhappy, I don't know, it kind of seems tragic, actually, especially when there's something we can do about it. When there's a positive, practical, achievable, scientifically proven technique which allows our mind to be more healthy, to be more mindful and less distracted. And the beauty of it is that even though it kind of need only take about 10 minutes a day, it impacts our entire life. But we need to know how to do it. We need an exercise, we need a framework to learn how to be more mindful. That's essentially what meditation is. It's familiarizing ourselves with the present moment. But we also need to know how to approach it in the right way to get the best from it. And that's what these are for, in case you've been wondering. Because most people assume that meditation is all about sort of stopping thoughts, getting rid of emotions, somehow controlling the mind. But actually it's quite different from that. It's more about sort of stepping back, sort of seeing the thought clearly witnessing it coming and going, emotions coming and going without judgment, but with a relaxed, focused mind. So for example, right now, if I focus too much on the balls, then there's no way that I can relax and talk to you at the same time. Equally, if I relax too much talking to you, then there's no way I can focus on the balls. I'm going to drop them. Now in life and in meditation, there'll be times when the focus becomes a little bit too intense and life starts to feel a bit like this. It's a very uncomfortable way to live life when we get this tight and stressed. At other times, we might take our foot off the gas a little bit too much and things just become a little bit like this. And of course, in meditation, we can end up falling asleep. So we're looking for a balance of focused relaxation where we can allow thoughts to come and go without all the usual involvement. Now, what usually happens when we're learning to be mindful is that we get distracted by a thought. Let's say this is an anxious thought. So everything's going fine, and then we see the anxious thought, and it's like, oh, didn't realize I was worried about that. You go back to it, repeat it. Oh, I am worried. Oh, I really am worried. Wow, there's so much anxiety. And before we know it, right, we're anxious about feeling anxious. You know, this is crazy. We do this all the time, even on an everyday kind of level. If you think about the last time, I don't know, you had a wobbly tooth. You know it's wobbly, and you know that it hurts. But what do every 20, 30 seconds? I don't know. It does hurt. And we reinforce the storyline, right? And we just keep telling ourselves. And we do it all the time. And it's only in learning to watch the mind in this way that we can start to let go of those storylines and patterns of mind. But when you sit down and you watch the mind in this way, you might see many different patterns. You might find a mind that's really sort of restless and the whole time, you know, don't be surprised if you feel a bit agitated in your body when you sit down to do nothing and your mind feels like that. You might find a mind that's very sort of dull and boring and it's just almost mechanical. It just sort of seems it's as if you're just sort of getting up, going to work, eat, sleep, get up. Or it might just be that one little nagging thought that just goes round and round and round your mind. Whatever it is, meditation offers the opportunity, the potential to step back and to get a different perspective, to see that things aren't always as they appear. You know, we can't change every little thing that happens to us in life, but we can change the way that we experience it. That's the potential of meditation, of mindfulness. You don't have to burn any incense, and you definitely don't have to sit on the floor. All you need to do is to take 10 minutes out a day to step back, to familiarize yourself with the present moment so that you get to experience a greater sense of focus, calm, and clarity in your life. Thank you very much.
Okay. So that guy, he actually is he invented Talkspace, and so, which is probably one of the best. I wish that they would not have started charging for it. That just made me very unhappy. But if you can use some of that in your life daily, it will help. Okay. Another thing that is really important when you feel like things are not going well for yourself, or if you can take care of somebody else a little bit, that can also help. Doing something for somebody else helps us to feel better. Okay. Another thing is gratitude, and we kind of take that for granted, but it's really important to just be grateful for what we've got. And one thing that I encourage people to do is not just pay attention to like things and stuff, but like one thing that you have, one thing that you've done, and one thing about yourself. And try to do that several times a week. Okay. Because there's all things that are great about every one of us. We all have gifts. Okay. There are some apps that are really great out there. Calm is one that I use sometimes. Fabulous is another one. Breathe is another one. So if you can afford the $9 a month or whatever it is for Talkspace, it's great. There's other ones that are free though. So anyway, well, I hope that this has helped you guys kind of come up with a plan for some ways that you can maybe take care of yourself a little bit better. Maybe point out some things that you need to do, and also point out some things that you're already doing great. And give yourself a big pat on the back for that. Okay, be your own cheerleader. Okay, we all need our own cheerleaders, and we need to ask for help. Nobody's going to come and say, "Hey, you look like you're really tired. Why don't you go sit down for a while?" Oh, I got this. I got this. No, you got to say, if you need the time out, take it. All right. And do as I say, not as I do, because when you're sick and you're at home, you need to be sick and at home and not working. So.
Well, we so appreciate your time and, sticking it out for this, although we would have understood if you couldn't do it. So
I love talking to groups, and this was absolutely great. So does anybody have any questions or thoughts or anything?
I don't have a question, Amy. I just wanted to say that I really enjoyed your presentation and walking through those various things where we could actually create lists for ourselves and walk away with something that we can utilize in the future was extremely helpful, rather than it just being a presentation of those things. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I try to make them sort of interactive. It's harder in this format, but.
No, it was really great. Thanks again.
Good. You're welcome. You're welcome. Anybody else have anything they want to say? Anything? Okay. Well, thanks for coming, y'all. This was great. And I see a lot of faces that I don't recognize and names and stuff. So I'm glad that I got to get exposed to y'all. And if you need anything, feel free to come by anytime. My office is I'm in the student affairs office, but I'm not at home. So I'm still doing stuff on Zoom. So it seems to work. And especially with timing and stuff like that, some people are not able to get to my office and those kinds of things. So anyway, all right. Well, thank you, Casey, and everybody. I appreciate it.